Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John or Jonathan. I'm originally I'm living in Kapolei right now, over up in Makakilo. But I'm originally from Norfolk, Virginia area, Virginia Beach area. So my life before Christ, wow, it was a mess. Um, I grew up in uh, kind of a broken home. A lot of physical abuse, all sorts of abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, and it was tough. Uh, and I think because of that, it pushed me towards trying to find somewhere that was home because home wasn't home. So I turned to the streets. Um, I ended up getting involved in the area I lived at was pretty bad. I ended up getting into a lot of gangs. I ended up becoming a member of a gang through a mutual friend, and it was kind of my way of finding acceptance, I guess, and finding where I was comfortable. Got involved to some harder drugs, and got to a point where I was just so lost and confused, and found myself at a place I was ready to take my life. Right about that time, I didn't have any family that was out there living where I was at, so I had I didn't know God. I grew up in the church and stuff like that, and was saved when I accepted Christ when I was young and was baptized, but I didn't understand. I didn't know what I actually did, and but it's amazing how Christ knew me. And there was a point in time where I was writing music. It was kind of like my goodbye letter. So I kind of wrote my letter, and it was kind of crazy. In reading back in the letter, it was like I was reading what I was writing, and I was literally like crying out to God in that moment. And it was like in that moment of reading it, it was almost like I heard God speaking back to me, telling me not to do it. And whatever it was that was working in me, that I was so determined that was it. It was just like it turned around, and I knew I was in a bad spot. I knew I was at rock bottom, but I knew it wasn't the end at that point. So I got into dealing drugs pretty heavily, and there was a point in time where after a few years, they had released in this small town in Tennessee that there was 60 sealed drug indictments that came out. And there was like people that I personally knew that was dealing drugs too. But when I thought that I was gonna go to federal prison, and I just thought about my son and all that, that was my wake up call. And I just remember for the first time, I knew there was God. I knew God was there, and I knew He had been preserving me through all the chaos and stuff that I had chose to be in. And though I didn't know Him, I didn't really know His word. For the first time, I literally just begged and pleaded Him. I was like, God, don't let me go to jail. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to lose my son. And I just felt Him impressing on me, saying, look, you got to change. You got to stop. And so I just got to a point where I quit. I quit smoking. I quit drinking. I called the person I was getting supplied from. I told her I quit. I just stopped everything cold turkey. I think that God used my son to get me to wake up and get me to straighten up. I look back to where I came from, and it's like night and day. The thought that I was once there and I'm here now is like I know it had nothing to do with me, but everything to do with what God did for me and through me, and even like when I couldn't carry myself, it was Him that carried me. So my life verse for me is Romans 8:8, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And to me, I just feel like God showed me all of that through everything that I've been through, and even through the stuff that we're going through now. Like life changes, but he doesn't. And he's just faithful, and he uses it all, the good and the bad. If I was to die today, I have a rest and a peace and a trust that, based on what God did, his son Jesus Christ, what he did for me, is what I bank everything in. I trust and I know that when I die, that I will come into this next life, this next place, whatever that is, whatever it looks like to be present with Christ, that I'll be with him.